Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Car Wash Magazine Live. As always, I'm your host, Matt DeWolf, Editor-in-Chief of Car Wash Magazine. Guys, look, it is the last month of 2020, so we are almost there. We're almost out of this year that's been, I don't know, I like to say a year full of opportunity. How about that? It's coming to an end. We're so thankful for all of you and the support that you've given to this program and to International Car Wash Association throughout the year. Obviously, it's not been the easiest thing in the world for us to pivot and make some of the decisions that we've had to make. But we're thankful for you and your support along the way. And we're gonna keep rolling forward. And we've got a lot of new exciting things coming for you in 2021. I can't say anything about it just yet. I'll come back to that in just a moment. I wanted to say, though, what's really exciting that some of you may not have realized is that we just had a group of 29 females in the industry finish the Women's Leadership Certificate Program, which was that kind of online cohort offering that we did because we could not have these in-person events. And so 29 females in this industry, high performers, future all-stars, if not already all-stars in this industry, completed that. You may start to see some badges kind of floating around in the digital space and social media. Those are representing those folks who have completed that. Super exciting stuff. You guys love that we are able to make that kind of an impact for you and provide those services. I just also wanted to say, I was talking earlier about prepping for 2021. We've all pivoted. We have some crazy, awesome things coming your way from ICA in 2021, and I really want to talk about them, but I think that everybody else would get a little frustrated with me for letting the cat out of the bag. But a little hint, some of you have had these conversations, a little hint, those certificate program recipients and those badges, it's related to that. It's related to the way that we gather. There are things related to the way that we connect vendors and operators in this community. So stay tuned. Make sure you're watching this program. Make sure you're opening those emails from ICA. Otherwise, you're going to get left in the dust as we bring all this great stuff to you. So I'm super excited. You might even say I'm like Jesse Spano excited, but without the pills. For all of you watching that maybe didn't watch the show, that's a Saved by the Bell reference. Okay, friends. So I've got a brief story that I want to share with you before we get into the meat of today's program. We've got a really great program for you today with David Delrahim from Bliss Car Wash. We're going to be talking all things environment, making an impact, small tunnels, which I know a lot of folks are talking about right now. So we're going to get into that in just a few moments. But I've been having a lot of conversations recently around, as we enter the end of the year, about kind of incentivizing, recognition, rewards, all that kind of stuff. And so I was thinking about that this morning, and when I was getting ready to do an exercise that my wife was making me do. We have this thing where she likes to really push hard exercises and workouts to me. And so I was doing this Peloton ride. Now, mind you, I've done like 20 Peloton rides, right? Like 20 rides, that's it. My wife has hundreds of these. And so she sent me this workout and said, this is a really great workout. You should do this. And so I'm doing it. And I'm like near puking stage, guys. Like I'm struggling through this thing and I'm trying my best. And I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling motivated. I'm just, kind of cycling along. I can't hit any of the metrics and it's driving me crazy. And then I tap on the screen, right? And if you've seen this, Peloton does a really nice job of having these leaderboards, right? And so you can see where you compare to others and how that's going. And I see on the screen this one rider. It's a female in her 30s in New York, and I said to myself, I just gotta stay with her. Like if I can just keep up with her, I'm gonna feel good about myself, and I'm gonna feel like I did something. And ultimately what happened, right, is like that gave me power and incentive and motivation to keep going. Long story short, I got through it. I kept pace with that particular rider, and I did a lot better than I would have otherwise because I was incented and I was rewarded at the end by seeing that progress. So I think that's something that we can all take to our own businesses and think about that as we go into this holiday season and beyond in terms of how are we incentivizing our customers, how are we incentivizing our employees, and how are we rewarding both of those groups to make sure that we're having the results that we really want to have. So just a quick anecdote for you today. I was thinking about it. It's been on my mind, and now it's on your mind. So there you go. Now, along that same vein, a couple of weeks ago, we did talk about online customer reviews. I'm not gonna spoil the lead here. You guys can go ahead and take a look at this. This is a quick tip of from Beth Martin of Express Wash Concepts, who can help you with your online reviews.
Sure. We're doing a quarterly review challenge right now across all of our locations. And we created business card sized just little cards with a QR code that customers can scan. It'll send them directly to that location's Google My Business page where they can easily leave a review. And what's great about that is that we've seen review traffic just really since the first part of October increase by about 40% through that review challenge. So it's definitely working great. It gives our team members an opportunity to have a talking point with customers out in our vacuum lot so they can kind of gauge, if it's a happy customer. If it's not, it's great too, because then we can remedy a situation before the customer feels the need to go online and leave a bad review. So I would highly recommend it. It's extremely easy to set up and see what your results can be.
There you have it, folks. Great tip from Beth Martin on something you can do to incentivize your employees as it relates to online reviews. There's a whole bunch of great information in that full episode. If you guys want to check that out, that's episode 35 of Car Wash Magazine Live. You can see that at carwashmagazine.com and check that out. Get all the information you need to handle those pesky online reviews. Also, if you've got some time here over the holidays, we've got a couple great podcast episodes from Car Wash the Podcast that have come out recently. Last week, you may have missed it since we were in the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States, but Reuven Bergkrant from PetroCal Associates was on and talking all things car wash financing, which I know is a much needed topic for everyone as we look to grow our businesses and make impacts in our communities. And then our most recent episode that dropped yesterday, we had Warren Davis from Stinger Chemical on, and so we got a chance to hear the story of how Stinger got started, and really kind of dove in on changes in paint chemistry and softer clear coats and the ease of correcting and all these great things. You guys got to check that out, carwashthepodcast.com, anywhere that you're subscribing to those podcasts. All right, guys, it is joke time. And because we are talking today about the environment and water and small tunnels and all kinds of fun stuff with David Delrahim, sorry, David, about that, I've got a joke that's on theme for you. So I was talking to my neighbor the other day, and he says, I was out in my backyard and I'm digging this hole and I filled it up with water. I think he meant well. Oh, yes, friends. I hope you got that. I promise they cannot get any worse. So remember, you're stuck with my jokes until you send me yours. Send them to me, mdewolf@carwash.org. Without further ado, my friends, let's get to this tour of Bliss Car Wash in California. All right, there you have it. That is a quick tour of Bliss Car Wash in California. And now joining us on the program is David Delrahim himself. David, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, David, I got to say, like, that footage that we got to see of, I don't know if that was one location or a couple, but it is beautiful. Like, it's a great look. I love the purple and the branding. It's just a really clean, polished look. So nice job on that, you guys.
Appreciate that. It took us a while to come up with this concept from the branding, the colors, and the equipment package, all the way from one end to the other. It took us almost 6 years to be able to put it together. And we paid a lot of attention to the detail, what really resonates, especially with the millennials and the Gen Z. As we know, they are the group of the generational group that they spend a lot of money, and they do care about a lot of different things that maybe as a baby boomer, we really didn't connect with those aspects. So we made sure that we take everything into the consideration in building that brand.
Yeah, it looks great. Looks great. We're going to talk a little bit more about generational stuff here in just a moment. But for those who don't know you, because I think that there's probably a decent group that might be watching that aren't necessarily sure about your background or where you come from or how you kind of got into this industry. So could you just give us kind of the quick version of how in the world you became involved with Bliss and how you got into car washing?
Sure. I started my business journey about 40 years ago with the retail petroleum in Southern California. And, as the industry was changing, which was back in early 90s, we saw that the business model with the traditional retail petroleum is being changed drastically. We stepped into the washing cars, full service car wash in Southern California. That's what it was really popular back then.
Right, that's what you did, right?
That's what it did, exactly, 25 years ago. So we started in the car wash, and even back then, the first car wash that we built, we wanted to be different. We wanted to be something that really people can connect with, and we went after experience. Of course, but as a car wash operator, we focus on making sure that the car comes out nice and clean in a given period of time. For the full service car wash, of course, it was about 20 minutes. But what happens in that 20 minutes with the customer, it really establishes the groundwork for that customer to come back, or perhaps not. So we really paid attention in that 20 minutes. What happens to that customer while he was waiting for the car to be done? And it was truly an overnight success. And again, full service car wash and the car wash industry was going through its own evolution. And as of about 8-9 years ago, we saw that how the express car wash is evolving and even coming into the Southern California. And we went back to the same way that we started our full service car wash journey, and we started designing and a car wash that really resonates with the general public. Mm-hmm. And it answers some of the challenges we have in Southern California with the size of the real estate. Yep. And the water issue that we are experiencing. And we were able to come up with Bliss that truly answered all of those questions and challenges.
Yeah, what's interesting, David, is we talk a lot about customer experience and how important that is. And in the full service model, you do have the benefit of having more time, right, to build that relationship. And when we start getting in these express models, and especially if you start talking about a smaller footprint express model, that time to create that relationship with that customer is super condensed. And so I think that's really fascinating. Are there things that you're doing, knowing that for your customers that have been successful, like in just helping you make that that connection with the customer and make sure that you're staying with your brand and what you want to do?
You know what? Just like everything else in any business, it doesn't matter what whether you have a restaurant, car wash, or anything else. Consistency in operation is very important. The customer comes back for the same thing, expects the same level of service, and we need to be in a position to deliver the same level of service. And we believe in a full circle. And the full circle, the way we look at it, our relationship with the customer, it starts before they come to our sites. During the time that they spend at our location, and once they go off the site. So we're definitely paying attention to all of these three components: before, during, and after. And so we made sure that the branding is correct. We are impactful as a brand. So when the customer wants to make a decision to come to our sites, they make Bliss decision. While they are at our sites, they receive the service that they expected. And once they leave, then we still continue with that support. That's why we have 7 days live operators, customer care, to be able to answer to any questions that they may have.
Yeah, for those of you watching this at home or wherever you might be, maybe you're at the wash, the key takeaway there that I think you want to make sure you remember, customer journey maps are super important, but if you do nothing else, if you at least, like David was talking about, break it down into before, during, and after, I think that's a nice, like, easy 3 kind of step framework to kind of help you think about your business differently. So I'd love that tip. That's a great tip, David. I want to talk a little bit more. We're going to get into some of the environmental decisions that you all have made with Bliss, because I know that's super important to the brand. But I want to talk first about the smaller real estate and the smaller footprint. And you alluded to it when you were talking about some of the real estate challenges in California. Does it work? I mean, can you put a 60-foot tunnel on a property, and can you get the car clean that you want?
Absolutely. So that's why it took us a while to develop this concept, Bliss, and we had to make sure that what is the minimum length of the tunnel that we can get a good car wash out of it. So of course, we start at the 100-foot. Yeah, sure, no problem. We reduced it down to 90. Yeah, it's still good. 80 is even good. So we just kept pushing the envelope, and we played with the equipment package and the timing and the technology. And we really wanted to get to the minimum, bare minimum. And we found out that 60 foot would be just fine. We came down from 60 there. We went down to about 50, 55. Just wasn't the same. So 60 became the sweet spot in terms of having the limited amount of square footage, real estate, and being able to deliver consistently a good car wash. And Southern California with the expensive real estate, and you cannot really find that 1 acre, 2 acre, especially in the metro areas. We really believe that we came out with a winner concept. 60 foot is very efficient. It puts out a good clean car wash. It uses just the right amount of water, because as you go longer tunnel, you use more water, you use more energy probably, but it's just really efficient.
Yeah, that's super important. I love this. When we were talking a couple of weeks ago, kind of getting ready for this show, one of the things that you were talking about is, the explosion of the express model in a lot of kind of suburban areas. Because of course, there's land there and there's green space. You can get those properties like you're talking about and build on those. I think this is a really fascinating concept, to be able to take these smaller footprint express type models and start popping those into some of these more populated areas that don't have that necessarily available to them. So I'm going to be really interested to see kind of where this goes over the years, and I'll be watching Bliss very closely. That's for sure.
I appreciate that.
If you guys are watching this and you guys have questions for David, do put those in the chat feed here. We will try to get those answered for you during the course of this program. And if we can't get them answered for you during the program, we'll make sure we follow up with you and get that answered for sure. David, let's shift gears a little bit. You were talking about reducing energy use because in that smaller footprint, energy use, water use. Water is super important to you all. Talk a little bit about what you all have done with kind of reducing your water impact at your washes.
It's very interesting. So, at this point of my life and journey, almost 40 years in business, the next chapter has to not only be sustainable, profitable, successful, it has to be meaningful and impactful. Growing in Southern California, dealing with the shortage of water. Water is, you grew up with that mentality that how important the water is. And, what we go to every morning, you go to the sink and you make sure that you open and close the faucet. And being in the car wash, and you see that we go through hundreds of gallons of water. And you're trying to put all of these things in perspective. And I remember at the time I was invited to a fundraising. It was Wells Bring Hope fundraising about water in Africa, how even more important for them, and how people out there were struggling to have a glass of safe, fresh water. And people were dying because they just couldn't have that fresh water. So coming back to my business, and I see the flow of water on the ground, I said, we got to be doing something about this water. 60-foot long tunnel, as I mentioned, it uses probably the minimum amount of water. But accountability is very important for us. Just to make a claim, not good. And I don't want to wait 45 days out, to get my utility bill to go back and say, I'm using this much. So what happened in that 45 days, I had no control over it, perhaps. So we went after a technology to measure live the flow of fresh water into the tunnel at any given time, at minute by minute. We said, well, this is good, but not good enough, because I need to be able to measure per vehicle how much fresh water I'm using. So, of course, with the technology that we have that measures the traffic flow into the tunnel, we were able to bridge between these two technology and live get the numbers and the figures, how many gallons per vehicle we're using fresh water. And then, so I remember it was close to about 60, 65 gallons. And then we went back into the tunnel, we changed our plumbing, we changed the way we were washing, the timing, and all of these things. And we were able to bring that number of gallons per vehicle down to about 27 gallons. And we couldn't go lower. Again, we had to have the consistency in washing cars as well. So just right there, and I can say that, yeah, Bliss only uses 27 gallons, and we can prove it at any given time. Not 45 days from now, not because, we had to wait for our utility bill to arrive. So that water became one of our purpose, Bliss purpose, and we are very proud of that.
Well, and you guys take it a step further, right? Like, it's one thing to operate very efficiently and make sure you're using the least amount of water, fresh water as you can, and you guys are doing a great job with monitoring that in real time. That's super awesome. Like that, technology has come so far. It's amazing that that's even possible, but it's really, really awesome. You guys take it a step further though, because you guys have 9 locations right now, 8 coming up in the near future, and you guys do something different for every location that you open. Tell folks what you do.
Again, we truly believe in the purpose. What we do, it has to have a purpose. I know as an entrepreneurs, as a business owners, we are so fixated on the dollars, which is fine. That's very healthy. We have to have successful business, but we have the power as business leaders to make a difference in our community. And of course, we expanded our community beyond our street and our cities, and we're looking at the planet Earth and the global as one community. And when I participated in that fundraising with Wellspring Hope, it was very moving experience, and I noticed that these families in Africa, 80% of their kids, they die because they cannot get one glass of water that is safe. They die because they're thirsty, and all they have is just poison water that they drink. And so we partnered up with Wellspring Hope, and every time we open up one Bliss location, we drill one drinking water well in Africa, in South Africa, in West Africa, and which really impacts 1,800 to 1,000 people. It will change their lives beyond what we know or what we can even understand. It will put them on the right path, not to stay healthy, but to prosper as a community. So far we have drilled 9 wells, and we are hoping, if you look at it, that's 9,000 people, so a lot of families. And which again, we believe we need to create unity. And for us to do these things, we have a lot of divisions, unfortunately, that is happening in our country and globally. We have to take our little step to make a difference and create the unity globally.
Yeah, that's fantastic, David. I mean, talk about more than washing cars. It's so easy for us to stay in our bubble sometimes when we can do a relatively small thing when we get outside of that bubble and make a really big impact. And you guys are doing awesome with that.
I appreciate that.
I want to come back to, I want to talk generational differences just real briefly. We do have a question about the small real estate footprint conversation we were having. Let me get that up here for you. Hunter over at Jeff's Car Wash wants to know, he's looking at putting in a 50-foot Mini to retrofit one of his 3M bays. What would you kind of recommend for him? Like, should he go down that route? Is there any specific equipment that you might be using in your washes that you really feel like benefit the smaller footprint over others? What would you recommend as a aficionado of the smaller footprint?
Right. You know what? And I want to talk globally, not only for the benefit of Hunter, but for everybody's benefit. We have to be mindful about the evolution that is happening with the customer's behavior, how to clean their cars. And that is where express car wash is booming. So this is where we're going. So we want to make sure that we stay with the trend. We definitely don't want to spend a lot of money right now. And in a few years later, we say, oh my God, you know what, I fell behind. So, whether it is a 50-foot, 60-foot, 40-foot, it doesn't matter. Can you get a clean car at the exit, objectively? Because, I know the old culture with the car wash operators, a lot of dances and songs that were giving the customers. But I remember if something happened to customers' car, it didn't happen here. So this generational shift that is happening, the millennials are not standing for that. All right, we cannot. Everything needs to have substance. Whether you're putting 40 or 50, I would put the right equipment, and it doesn't matter what equipment is. What matters is, can you deliver a clean car every time that car goes into that tunnel? And as an operator, you have to be the judge of it. You have to be objective. You have to stand behind it, and you have to make sure that it's consistent. It's so simple.
Yeah.
Just deliver what you promised.
Well, Hunter, there you go. Not quite the specific equipment recommendation that you're after, but there are lots of folks, I think, in the Talk Car Wash community who will chime in on that front. But I love the advice, Hunter, of standing behind what you're offering. And 50-foot might work, but guess what? That trend is going to be there. That volume trend. People want to be able to get in and get their car washed quickly. That's not going away anytime soon. So I mean, for whatever it's worth, I say go for it, my friend. Why not? What's the worst thing that's going to happen, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk real briefly. Generational stuff. I know that's important to you guys, and that kind of helps you stay ahead of the curve in terms of looking forward. So one of the things that I've heard you say before is that you work really hard to know your customers, right? Which we all say that we need to know our customers, but you take it one step further, right? And you say you need to know who your customers are going to be in the future and who they're going to become. And so I know that that's important to you. Can you talk just real briefly about how kind of that generational shift and focus kind of has driven some changes for you all?
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. So the millennials, who are they? So pretty much anyone who was born after 87 is millennial. We call them millennials, and of course, you know what? Now we have Gen Zs too, and the millennials right now they're young professionals. They're into their early 30s, and they make money, and you know what? They just live their life completely different than the baby boomers. They believe in certain things that we probably were, as a previous generation, we weren't paying attention to. So for a period of about 2.5 years, we studied millennials. We hired 2 marketing companies. We did extensive research on millennials. Who are they? What do they believe? How do they spend their money? Are they bigger spenders? Are they smaller spenders? How do they go about living their lives? And it was fascinating. And through that journey, I was even able to communicate with my kids better because I wasn't communicating properly. And I'm sure what a lot of us parents from baby boomers having that difficulty. So I'll be more than happy to share some of the points that is important to this group of people. They want the entity, the businesses that they are dealing with to have a purpose.
Yeah.
To have a story that resonates with them, you know, to have substance, you know, to be engaged in philanthropy. That means, you know what, do not forget other people. The unity, to be mindful about what we are doing to planet Earth. They are more, you know, they really understand our relationship with planet Earth. And that's why we chose to have all of our products to be biodegradable. You know, saving water, again, you know, is the environmental point for them. And you know what? These are the group of people that for everything they Google. So whatever message you're delivering, whatever experience you're delivering, it better be true. It has to have depth because they will challenge us.
Yep.
And if they lose their faith on you, we will never ever get another chance from them. Unlike the baby boomers, well, I'm going to give them the second chance, oh, the third chance, or fourth chance. Well, that guy calls me by my first name. We're friends. It's okay. We got a lot of passes, not with this group.
Yeah, we hold grudges, I guess.
You lost them. Yeah. It's over.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, I think that's all great stuff. What I'm hearing, if we were to wrap that into a nugget for someone to remember to take home with them from the program today, have a purpose, have a story, and share it loud, share it proud, but make it true. Share it loud, share it proud, make it true. That's for sure. And David, I got one last question for you, and then I'm going to let you get back to the business of washing cars. But I want to know, what gives you hope?
You know what? We humans, we thrive. We move forward. We wake up every morning by the power of hope. You know, that today is going to be better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be a much better day than today. And the hope is about being positive about our journey on planet Earth. The connections that we make with our families, you know what, it is okay to expand that connections. And hopefully we can all get to a point that we consider the entire population of the planet Earth as one community, as one family. You know what, we live in the best country in the world, but we cannot take all the blessings we have for granted. We have responsibility, not only towards ourselves and our family, but let's just go a little bit further. Let's just make this planet a better place for everyone.
David, thank you so much. I mean, great advice for all of us. I think going beyond washing cars for sure. Thank you so much for taking the time today to share your story. It's an inspirational one. I hope everybody got a lot out of it. I hope that it wasn't too painful for you.
No, not at all. I appreciate it. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year to all of us. 2021 would be much better year than this year.
Awesome. Thanks so much, David. Hey, everybody watching here at home, if you want to see more shows like this, more programs, you can do that at carwashmagazine.com. You can do that on YouTube. You can do that anywhere you're consuming this kind of stuff. We want to be where you are. So thank you so much for tuning in today. We will see you next week with a fantastic episode featuring H2 Wow's Julie Petty. So make sure you tune in for that. And when you're out there, friends, guess what? You know what to do. All you got to do is keep it clean.